If you like country music and you have Sirius Radio in your car, you probably listen to The Highway, Channel 56, and you would know the name and the voice of Buzz Brainard, who's one of their main hosts and announcers. He'd just been on stage moments before those shots rang out, and he's on the phone with me from Vegas. Buzz, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Heather.
Well, good to have you on the program. Very good to know that you're okay after what's happened in Vegas last night. You witnessed it all, Buzz, so tell us your story.
Well, we were in the artist area just off the stage. We just finished up with Jake Owen, and then Jason Aldean was on the stage. So we're with most of our crew and our friends, and actually it was probably the closest point to Mandalay Bay of the entire festival grounds. And we just heard this pop, pop, pop noise, and we thought, being the last night of the show and the last performer, we thought maybe it was fireworks. And the first series of pops went off, and people looked, but nobody really did anything. And then it happened again, and people got curious, and somebody said there was maybe a possible power line or something. So we did wander out of the tent, and by that point, it was starting to become apparent what was going on. So everybody started to panic a little bit. And in that area, right next to the stage, we dove underneath the tour buses for the artists. So we're on the ground, and that's when some of the dirt started kicking up around us because bullets were being fired there. So we stayed there for a while. They brought Jason off stage along with his wife, and we were just huddled underneath the buses. And then I don't know if it was a police officer or if it was a civilian who said, "We got to go, got to go." So they pushed us, the entire crowd back there, to run, and we actually had to cross over the stage to get. That was the most direct route to get away from the Mandalay Bay. So
the lit-up stage. A guy's shooting from on high, and you're running across the lit-up stage, which is a pretty big target, potentially.
Exactly. And now we join the masses of concert-goers, 30,000 people. So now you're starting to see people who are wounded, and you're also seeing people get trampled. So we just ran, and it, it was sporadic. It would go off for, pop, 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 and stop, and then go again and go again. So people were just it was chaos. They were screaming, and we just ran, and I ended up at the Tropicana Hotel. And so we found safety there, and they had us hold up there for a while, and they had us on lockdown, as they do most of Vegas right now. So we just left there, and I was staying at the Mandalay Bay. And the odd thing is my room was 23rd floor, just a little ways below where the shooter was, and so I had an entire view of the festival grounds. And the last couple of days I'd looked out there, and it was crazy. You could see everything, and you could see this large, basic parking lot with a stage and bleachers around the edge, but you could see the view of just where everybody was just elbow to elbow, 30,000 people. So, yeah, it's crazy to think, that I had the view that the shooter had, and it's scary.
Absolutely. Scary to hear it, chilling to hear it as you lived it. I'm thinking of you underneath the tour buses and the dirt, as you described so incredibly, being kicked up as the bullets rained down, and then running to safety. You mentioned, Buzz, that you saw people being trampled, people who were wounded. Did you actually see people who had been hit?
Yeah, we were running as quick as we could, and I had my son was visiting from Los Angeles, and 19-year-old son. So he's 19, but still he's my boy, and I had his hand, and I was just pulling him, and we were sprinting. So, there were people, like I said, some had been just knocked over, laying on the ground. Some were having a hard time, and we saw people who had been hit, and I don't know how badly at the point, because we were just trying to find safety.
When I say those numbers, 50 dead, 200 injured, I mean, how does that sink in for you, who were there in the midst of what was a celebration?
We knew nothing. I mean, there was no information. We ran, and we got to the hotel, and then you're all of a sudden in a hotel with a bunch of strangers, and people are trying to find things on the internet, and nobody really knew what had happened. And the first numbers we heard were 2 dead, and you know, and we just didn't know. Nobody, we had no information. So it's just so sad because I was on a stage not long before that, and I looked out, and there were so many people there. All you saw was a sea of people. I could not see the end of the crowd. It just stretched out that far.
And everybody celebrating what had been this incredible music festival. I've heard you talk about it for days leading up, and I know people were so anticipating. And I'm watching reaction on social media from some of your artists, people from Kelsey Ballerini right on through to Jake Owen, you said, and Brett Young and Jason Aldean himself describing things as beyond horrific. What kind of impact do you think this is going to have in the country music community?
Well, we are a family, you know. I mean, it's out of any genre of music. I don't know. I mean, I just think that we are family. We come together, you know. We come together for natural disasters. We come together when people need us. We're there for charity. We're there for people in need. So if anybody can survive it, this country music family, you know, it's going to have a hard time. It's going to be painful. But you know, I just spent 3 days with all these people, and they you know. It was a tremendous time, and it ended horribly. But I know this family will get through it.
Buzz Brainard, thank you very much for the time, and very glad to be able to speak to you. Glad that you were able to get to safety with your son and your friends, and thank you for sharing your story with us this morning.